Hello again, little childrens. Welcome again to House of Uncle Boris. Today we are all extremely excited because I have finally compiled the results of this year's annual borscht making competition that I have held between all of you. This year, as you know, was extremely competitive and made all the more difficult by the recent additions to the long list of banned ingredients that your parents have given to me. Thus, we were not able to have a repeat of last year's winner, because the eggshells that were used to give it that nice crunchy texture are no longer allowed. Honestly, I do not know why they decided to ban eggshells, because, to be honest, I have fed you all much worse than that. But it is their decision, yes? And we had fun all the same. The kitchen was packed the entire time, very crowded, but I was watching all the time to make sure that there was no cross-contamination or no sabotage. And even better, we did not have the same incident with the stove as we did in the last years, because this year, when my neighbor see the smoke coming out from my window, she immediately and very kindly run in with fire extinguisher for to save us all. She tell me later that she have many fire extinguishers along the path between her house and mine. I think it is very clever of her, and I hope you have all remembered to send her flowers for to say thank you, yes? Well, as you know, I judged the borscht in this competition based off of two criterions, that are the looks of the borscht and the taste of the borscht. This year I have decided to make a small change in how I judge the looks of the borscht, because as you remember in previous years we've learned that as I eat more borscht my vision begin to go spotty, makes it very difficult to judge. So this time I came up with a clever plan to take photographs of each borscht beforehand, and then afterwards I return to the photos and I judge the looks of the borscht based off of that. This was made possible because of the brand new camera that your parents gave to me very kindly for my birthday. And I took a photographs. I think perhaps something might be wrong with the camera, however, because I did exactly as they tell me to. I take the camera, I hold it up, I peer through it, and I press the button on the top, and yet when I return to computer to see what photos have been taken, all I see are pictures of some person's eyeball. I do not understand how this makes sense. Something must be wrong with camera. But nonetheless, I have come up with a way around this. To judge the looks of the borscht, instead I have drawn pictures of the borscht from memory, and I will be judging the looks based off of that. Excellent idea, yes? Well, let us begin. This first borscht is come from Kolia. As you can see, I was not terribly impressed with the looks of this borscht. It appeared almost like tomato soup, very flat, very dark red. The pepper sprinkled on top was very nice touch, I think. However, it was not terribly impressive. I give you a 3 out of 10 for the looks of this borscht, Kolia. When I tasted, however, taste was very excellent. It was very smooth. It had wonderful, light, meaty undertones. I think not perfect. Perhaps it was lacking the fireworks in the mouth, but it was close. Perhaps a sparkler in the mouth, or some kind of electrical shortage in the mouth, is how I would describe this borscht. Nonetheless, excellent taste to it. I give you 8 out of 10 for the taste of this borscht. Very well done, Kolia. This next borscht is from Vladimir. As you can see, this is chunky borscht, and there is nothing wrong with that. I am very much appreciative of solid chunks of beet, of potato, of meat inside the borscht. However, I can tell that this is going to be very thick, very stew-like borscht, simply by looking at it, and the soured cream does nothing to hide that. In that case, I give you 6 out of 10 for the looks of this borscht. When I taste it, Like I was able to tell, it was very thick, very much like a stew, not terribly exciting, and I could not identify the meat that you used in this borscht. You told me it was beef, yes? Well, I go to my neighbor and I ask her what is a beef, and she tell me is a type of cow. I assume some sort of uncommon variety of cow. Interesting choice, Vladimir. Perhaps not perfect choice. So I give you 6 out of 10 for the taste of this borscht. Solid effort. This next borscht is from Irina. This borscht look incredible. It is perfect shade of red, and simply the fact that you wrote your name in soured cream on the top, and especially that you even underlined it with sprig of parsley, simply amazing. You went above and beyond, Irina. It was perfect. I give you perfect score, 10 out of 10 for the looks of this borscht. And when I taste this borscht, it takes me back years and years to a time when I have dinner with this very lovely girl. Name was Ivrenia. Zhenya I used to call her. Zhenya, she was very sweet girl. We have dinner together, and the borscht that I eat that day, it reminded me, it tastes exactly like your borscht, Irina. That was perfect day because we had dinner together. We talked for hours and hours, and then we went and we danced outside. The weather was beautiful. Unfortunately, this was only months before she had to leave because her father was taking job in Vladivostok. And simply the last time I saw her, but that night was absolutely perfect, except for one thing, and that is that I did not very much like the borscht that they served to me. So you get 2 out of 10 for the taste of this borscht, Irina. Zhenya, dear sweet Zhenya. I should find out what happened to her, see where she ended up. Anyways, moving on. This next borscht comes from Volodya. This borscht causes me to have dark thoughts. Shame on you, Volodya. And finally, we have this borscht from Little Misha. Little Misha and I have very much fun preparing this borscht. Do you remember how I hold you up to the counter and help you to add each ingredient? It was very much fun. We have good time. The looks are not terribly impressive. It appears to be water with red food coloring dipped inside, because of course that is what it is. And when I taste it, I find it watery and refreshing. Excellent work, little Misha. Very proud of you. And that is all of the borscht that we have. Thank you all so much. We had very much fun. This brings me back so long ago to the time when I won my very first borscht making competition. It was excellent day. Well, it was not actually borscht making competition, of course. It was food making competition. And I was not actually participating in this because it was competition at my old school. It was supposed to be between the teachers and not between the students. But nonetheless, I was very young. I wanted to participate. I found a blender from the school kitchen. I take it and I attempt to blend beets together to make soup. And I do so immediately as the judge is walking past. Being very young, I forgot to put the lid on top of the blender. And the judge was taken very much by surprise. Your parents probably would not want me to tell you the rest of this story, but do not worry, the judge survived, and they did manage to dislodge the chunk of beet in the end, so he is alright, and as far as I am concerned, all is well that ends well, and after all, my food was the only food that the judge tasted, therefore I consider it my very first win. It's the first of a long line of wins, I should say. But that is story for another time, childrens. Alright. I think it is time for you to run along home. Goodbye, thank you very much for this experience. До свидания.